First exercise, high knee hug up on the toe. Basically, this is your player up on their toe, hugging their knee, pulling their knee to their chest, reaching as high as they can up to the ceiling while being able to balance on that toe. High knees, basically you want to be in a forward lean. You want to have your shoulders in an aggressive posture. You never want to be leaning back in your shoulders when you do a high knee exercise. You want to be leaning forward slightly, driving your knees off the ground, at least getting your knees to hip height, and getting the other leg off the ground as fast as possible. High knees laterally, okay, so you can do the same exact exercise as the high knees, forward lean, good knee drive, making sure you're getting your foot off the ground as quickly as possible, but basically you're moving in a lateral direction. And the important thing with this one is you get in a lot of foot touches. In other words, you're not going for distance. Your sumo squat, you're going to take 2 relaxed steps out while doing 2 really big backwards arm circles. You're going to spread your feet wider than shoulder width apart. You're going to sit back first, okay, like you're sitting in a chair, then down. Okay, oftentimes athletes just go straight down and they'll come up onto their toes. You need to really emphasize that they keep their heels on the ground. Their weight should be back in their heels and on the sides of their feet. And they use their elbows to push their knees outward. Okay, and then you go relax, another 2 arm circles backwards. Spread your feet wider than shoulder width apart. Use your elbows to press those knees out again, making sure they quad stretch with, again, making sure you're on your toe for a balance component. You're going to use the opposite hand to opposite knee. You're going to kick that foot back to your heel, okay? Back so your heel's touching your butt. You're grabbing it with your opposite hand. Your knees are going to try to remain touching if possible. You don't want to have knees swinging out, knees touching. You're going to pull up on that quad and you're going to come up on that opposing toe. That's going to give you a balance component as well as a stretching component to this exercise. Baby skips. Baby skips are the exact same thing as high skips, only you're going to cut them to about 1/4 of the height you're going to get versus a big skip. Really important thing to watch for here is that there's no hip sway, meaning your athlete is not skipping side to side. They are actually all of the exercise. The Spider-Man exercise, you're going to start in a loose plank position, all 4s on the ground. You're going to kick one leg up, maybe your right leg, to match your right hand. Okay, you're going to sit down in that stretch. So you feel the stretch in both your hips, your quad. You're going to feel the stretch in all those different areas. As soon as you sat in that stretch for about a second, you're going to crawl up with your hands and your other leg is going to come up. So your left leg would come up to match your left hand. And you're going to progress about, I'd say half the court is an appropriate distance for this exercise. And then you can jog back to start. Toes in, toes out. It may look a little funny to start. It's really just to wake up your ankle a little bit and all those little ligaments, tendons, all the little tiny things you have going on in your foot, your ankle, all that stuff. Basically, you're going to walk to the net with your toes in, okay, and walk back to the baseline with your toes facing outward. Again, it looks silly, but it goes a long run for your ankle, just making your ankles a little bit more awake than they would be had you just jumped into an exercise. Atlas, you basically have a high knee hug, okay, again, up on your toe. You're going to lunge out, and you're going to look back just like the god Atlas has with the big world ball. You're going to reach back over that front leg, and you're going to just feel that stretch for about a second or 2 before you go into the next leg, lunging forward and doing the same thing over your other front leg. The key is making sure that the athlete gets a big lunge step out. That lunge step should put the knee over the heel. You don't want athletes taking small lunges because then they're really just going to be forcing their knee to do the work. You want to make sure that they take a big lunge and they're really reaching back over that front leg, getting a good stretch. This one is called speed skater for obvious reasons. It looks like a speed skater. It is not for speed, it's for distance and stability. So you want to make sure your athlete takes a bounding hop out to the side and sticks that landing by bending their knee and sitting down with their butt. A lot of times athletes will do this exercise and they will land with straight legs, and that really puts undue pressure on the knee joint. You want to make sure that you take a bounding step out, you stick that landing, you sit back and down, that knee is not in front of that toe, and This one doesn't have a quick name. I call it the lunge elbow tuck with the hamstring stretch. And you'll see why. It's 4 stretches in one. You're gonna get a high knee hug up on that other toe. You're gonna kick that leg out, get into a big lunge. You're gonna twist over that front leg. You're gonna twist back and tuck that inside elbow. And then you're gonna try to stay down there with your shoulders and stretch out both legs. Straighten out both legs so you get a hamstring stretch. So again, it's a high knee hug, big lunge out, twist over that front leg, tuck in with that inside elbow, and straighten out those both of those legs for a hamstring stretch. Called hopscotch. Hopscotch is basically just something to get your kids going a little faster. It's exactly like it sounds. You go 2 feet down, then 1 foot, 2 feet down, then 1 foot. Again, one thing with this exercise you want to look for is not a lot of hip sway to side to side. You want to keep everything pretty compact, meaning your hips should stay mainly squared forward. They shouldn't be displacing to one side or the other. Okay, shouldn't be excessive lean on one foot or the other. Everything should just be real quick, and it's a coordination exercise too. When kids, this one's just a basic volleyball shuffle. We've all done it before, where you start at a baseline or some predetermined distance. You have your arms out, you're in good posture, back's flat, bending at the knees, over at the hips, and you just shuffle. Again, really important that feet do not touch, that you maintain good distance between your feet in this movement to always remain balanced. Sumo shuffle. Sumo shuffle is going to be just like the shuffle, but in a little bit more of a relaxed position, because we're going to add some open butterfly arms. Meaning you're going to fling your arms out like open wings, bring them in, open wings, bring them in, as you do the shuffle movement to the net and back, as we did here in this video, but it can be done over any distance. Karaoke, whatever people call it now. It's basically just a crossover and back. The caveat here is you're going to drive that back leg up and over an imaginary hurdle. You're not just going to keep the crossover small on the ground, you're going to cross over front and back, and as that back leg comes over that front leg, you're kicking that knee up, knee drive up and over. Backwards hip rotation. Okay, so this may look like a reverse lunge. The added difficulty here is you're going to lift your knee up so it's straight in front of you, okay, at least to hip height. You're going to kick up and over an imaginary hurdle that's to your side and behind you, and you're going to reach back and sit in a deep lunge. So instead of leading with a forward leg lunge, you're actually going to be starting and reaching up and over a hurdle to a reverse lunge. Okay, the key is here, if you can do it, I start out where I have both feet matching and then I start my next rep, but eventually you'll see me actually bring that next leg up and kick back over without needing to come back to start every time. That's going to give you added core benefit if your kids can do that correctly. This is called front straight leg run. Pretty self-explanatory. You want to keep your knees as straight as possible, not locked out, but as straight as possible. Shoulders still in that forward lean, slightly forward lean, and you want to just tap. Okay, the toes, when they're leaving the ground, they should just tap and go, tap and go. And this is facilitating quick off the ground movement with good hip flexor control. And toy soldier. This looks pretty self-explanatory here, just like you would see a toy soldier. It's a pretty straight upper body. Again, forward lean with those shoulders. Never want to be leaning back and unloaded at the hips. So we always want to be a little bit loaded. And kicking that foot, your foot should be flexed. So you want to kick your nose up, or kick your toes up towards your nose. Okay, and again, some people are going to be really flexible and they're going to be able to kick their leg, higher than their hands out in front. And some people, like myself, are going to be just mediocre flexibility. So want to make sure you just keep those legs straight. Lateral lunge and skip. This one, you're going to take 2 loose shuffles out. Okay, you're going to sit out and down with the leg that is going in the direction that you were going. The front leg is going to lunge out to the side. You're going to sit back and down, trying to keep your shoulders up and back, arms out in front. Again, making sure that the heel does stay on the ground, and you're going to lunge one way and lunge back the other way. You're going to reverse directions. Okay, so you skip around, 2 shuffles, big lunge out, sit back and down. High skips are basically the high skips that we always do, but again, you want to make sure that your athletes aren't skipping side to side. There shouldn't be any hip sway. You want all of your